Tourism Minister Lindiwe Sisulu maintains that the controversial sponsorship deal with English football club Tottenham Hotspur did not need her permission. SA-Tourism says the deal was meant to promote the country to the overseas tourism market. Sisulu met with the Tourism Portfolio Committee earlier today.
I did not know of the deal. I knew of the deal when it became an issue and members of the board came to brief me about the deal. The deal does not exist until several steps are followed. One of those steps is to get the permission of Treasury, and secondly is to get permission of the President. I did not know when the members left for London. In terms of protocol, I did know that request for permission to meet with the board is normal if it is from outside, because you can't come into somebody's country. But what it was about, I did not know. I did not know if they'd got permission from the chair of the board, but when they came back, I watched on television when there was a press conference led by the CEO, and that's where I picked up. I wasn't there because we were in a government reporter. That's where I picked up most of the details that came after that. And I approached the Minister of Finance, and he said, look, you need to write yes, you are required to write a letter, etc., etc. But beyond that, no. I have since been informed by the board about this particular effort, and it is within the preserve of the board to do its work. It is the part of their responsibility to go out and seek for opportunities to grow the entity, to grow the environment that we're working in, and they don't need the minister's permission, except when it exceeds a particular financial amount. And I would not be able to give permission until I had been advised or that permission had been given by the Minister of Finance. None of these steps have been taken. Did I give them permission to go abroad? They don't need my permission to go abroad. They are a competent board whose job is to seek out better ways in which to sell South Africa. But we had a board meeting, finally, where all of this was explained to us. And at that particular time, the chair of the board was Tozamile Bota, and we issued a press statement which we did not put out because it was brought to our attention, and I want to repeat it here, that in terms of our protocol, when we have a State of the Nation address, we do not have a side issue going on because it detracts from what the President may say. So we did not have the press conference. That's a convention that is in our regulations, and the reason why I excused myself so that I am not seen to be in another meeting when in fact this is not allowed by our protocols in government and in the cabinet. Then the question is, a board member was dismissed. The dismissed member you talk about is not a member of the board. And the matter that led us to this is currently under review. We've appointed, or we are in the process of appointing lawyers because of a number of things that have happened in the board and also in affecting the department. And I can make those available, but we will have to consult my lawyer whether or not this is permissible. And therefore, yes, the member was dismissed, but she is not a member of the board, and the way to resolve the problem is to go back to the chair of the board, if that is the ultimate reporting order, but it is not within the purview of the minister to deal with that explanation. The CFO, we learned about it. We learned about the matter of the CFO and the possible conflict of interest during the board proceedings. And immediately after that, I was informed that there was a problem, and we immediately convened a board meeting on Saturday. The date was? We immediately convened a meeting, and at that time, 3 members had already relinquished their position. We convened a meeting, and the outcome of that meeting is what will be distributed to all of you. We would have wanted to call a press briefing, but we went, in terms of convention, I'm not allowed to do that before the President speaks. We were going to do that after the President has spoken, so as not to tarnish the environment in which the President is speaking. We then discussed the matter of the CEO at the board, and we came to a decision around it to ask the CEO to step aside for a while and make sure, CFO to step aside until the board had a meeting on the matter and had taken the necessary steps to resolve the issue and understand exactly what is going on. I have not since met the board. I know that members of them are here. But I do know that this is a matter that was discussed. The CFO was in the meeting to represent himself at the meeting, and we asked him to leave the meeting so that we are able to discuss the matter and ensure that we sanitize the area in which we're dealing with matters of this nature. Tottenham Hotspurs did not have a deal that would have required my permission. The interactions with Tottenham Hotspurs is within the mandate and purview of the board. The only time that the minister would be required to have anything to do with this matter would be when the expenses required are beyond a particular amount of money. This is when we would be required to meet with the Minister of Finance or get permission from the Minister of Finance, and we had not got to that point yet. So no deal had been signed. How did members manage to go to London? They don't need my permission to go to London. How do they get resources to go to London? I suppose those resources are part of what they budget for, because their job is to sell South Africa and to find new markets for South Africa on a regular basis. So that is not something that is within my purview to be dealing with. That's why we have a board. Why was it possible for us to have a new board immediately? And I want to read to you the response of my legal advisor, whose advice we sought before we took decisions to appoint new members. And it is from Advocate Smelane, who was the head of Justice, the former DG of Justice. And it is to Minister Sisulu from Advocate Smelane, subject Tourism Act 2014, appointment of board members. To advise the Minister on the appointment of board members of the South African Tourism Board. On the 3rd of February 2023, 3 members of the board of the South African Tourism of the Board of South African Tourism resigned. At the time, they were serving a term of 3 years, having been appointed by Cabinet in October 2022. This means that their term was due to end in October 2025. It follows that their resignation leaves an unexpired term of 32 months to 2 years and 8 months in respect of the office of each member. The Minister is entitled to replace the board members who have resigned, relying on Section 16 of the Tourism Act 2014. It states as follows: vacation of office and filling of vacancies. 16(1)(a), a member of the board must vacate office if the member A resigns by written notice and it is delivered to the minister or the chairperson of the board. And I believe that the members resigned to the board. B, ceases to hold any qualifications necessary for that member's appointment to the board. C, is unable to
Sorry,
perform...
is that a point of order?
No, I just want to be noted, Chairperson, I just want to be noted as soon as the minister is done.
Okay.
It is unable to perform his or her functions due to mental illness or severe or profound intellectual ability contemplated by the Mental Act, or becomes subject of any disqualification contemplated in Section 15, or is removed by the office of the minister after consultation, or for any other reason the board becomes vacant before the member's term of office expires. The minister may appoint any suitably qualified person to fill the vacancy for the unexpired portion of the period which such member was appointed. As a result of the members of the board resigning before the end of term of their respective offices, 3 vacancies were created which necessitated filling. Section 16(2) provides that mechanism for the filling of those posts. The appointment of any replacement to those members must conform to the requirement that such persons are suitably qualified. It follows that the assessment of suitably qualified must inter alia have regard to the objectives of the Act, appropriate qualifications, and the knowledge of the sector. This mechanism is available only in respect of a vacancy created by a resignation, and it is intended to ensure that the business of the organization continues uninterrupted. That is what Advocate Menzies Simelane sent to me, and he is my legal advisor. I myself looked at the law and therefore proceeded to ensure that the board is quorate, and we called the new members to the board to introduce them to the board and to make sure that we can continue with the responsibilities of the board, happening at a time when there was a great deal of media attention around the issue of a possible Tottenham Hotspur's agreement. I am not aware that any agreement has been signed with Tottenham Hotspurs. This has not been reported to me. This would only have happened after we got all the necessary agreements, especially from Treasury. I'm trying to find where I wrote the other questions that the chairperson had put to me. We met as a board on a Sunday. And we introduced the new members of the board, and we asked the CFO to recuse himself, and we continued with the business of the board. And that is encompassed in a press statement that we put together, which will be made available or will be read out by the chair in a while.